You know, Paul, last night, today is Tuesday, last night, I don't know if you saw the show, seems unlikely though. I don't know, we were kind of dead here. There was no enthusiasm, there was no heat, there was no... In short, we just didn't do the kind of show I think we're capable of doing. And Paul, I don't want to, you know, but you weren't really paying attention. I was lame, the audience was lame, the guests were fine, but it just never congealed as a fine television offering for you home viewers. And I think what we need is, I think we need somebody to kind of come in here and shake us up and get a good pep talk for us and really help us play the kind of ball we know we're capable of playing. So we're going to call Bobby Knight in Indiana. Bobby Knight has been the coach at the Indiana University in Bloomington for 16 years. Now listen to this record, Paul. I know you follow college round ball.
Very closely, yeah.
He has won 7 Big Ten championships, 73, 74, 75, 76, 80, 81, and 83. He has won 2 NCAA championships, 76, and when was the other one, Paul?
78.
No, it was 81.
Oh.
Circle gets the square. A good bluff, by the way. His record so far this year, they're having another very nice season there in Indiana. 23 wins, 2 losses, and he was also the coach of the 1984 Olympic basketball team. I think there he is in action. This was a game against Iowa last Saturday right here on NBC. Now, if anybody can fire us up, it's this guy. This is an inspirational, dynamic, quality coach. So we'll call him there in Bloomington, Indiana. Do we have the phone number here? Paul, a little music to cover the annoying, awkward moments when I dial. Perfect. Now, if we just had something to cover that annoying, awkward music. Okay. I think I got it. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm very bad dialing under pressure. That's what kept me out of the service. This should be Bobby Knight's office down there in Bloomington, Indiana. They got a big game coming up Thursday.
Basketball office.
Oh, yes. Is this Mary Ann Davis?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Dave Letterman. I'm calling from New York City. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
And what do you do for Coach Knight down there?
I'm Coach Knight's secretary.
Uh-huh. And how long have you had that job?
I've been here 10 years.
So you must enjoy working with him.
I certainly do.
Okay, now I know he's probably very busy because don't you have kind of an important game coming up Thursday?
Yes, we do, with Purdue.
Yeah, and does he have a few minutes to talk with me?
Well, I'll check. Can you hold the line, please?
I certainly can, Mary Ann. Thank you for being so genial on the phone. Sound like a very nice woman.
Very nice.
Sounds very nice.
Mary Ann.
This should be Coach Knight. The man is very, very well respected. And he, if anybody, can pump new life into this operation. He also coached at the Army for a while, didn't he?
Hello.
Hello, is this Bobby Knight?
Yeah, David, how you doing?
Good, Bobby, how are you? Listen, I hate to bother you because I know you've probably got a lot more important things to do, but we're having kind of a morale problem here at the show, kind of a letdown, kind of a lull.
Hey, David, after last night's show, you ought to have a letdown.
See, exactly. See, Bobby, that's exactly why we called.
David, I watched it, and you know, sometimes you got to go into a delay game, but you people were in a stall for 40 minutes.
Well, Bobby, that's the problem. Is there anything? Can you give a little talk here to the staff, to the crew, to the audience, and help us get back on the right track?
Well, you know, I really enjoy your show, and I enjoy you very much.
Thank you.
I'll try, you know, but I'll tell you something. Last night we made Koppel look like Red Auerbach. I mean, you know, Nightline isn't anything as good as we made it look last night.
Yeah, I know.
And talk about the CBS late movie, David.
Yeah.
They could have shown an old Boris Karloff silent film and had a whipped us last night.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I don't know what some of these people are doing, like Al Frisch, for example. You know, Al Frisch just walks around with his head up his fanny. He's got hey, Frisch, get out and play a little defense. Now, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
This is really a big ball game for us tonight, you people on the staff.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of the sweeps period.
That's right.
And the ratings are going to come out, and tonight's show is going to, and we got to get started. The first 5 minutes tonight is really going to be important. We got to play well at the defensive end, and we got to play well at the offensive end.
That's right.
And Lori Diamond, for Pete's sake, you got to do something other than stand around and look nice. That isn't getting us anything. And you got to contribute something to what's going on here. We got to have some teamwork in this thing.
What, Bobby? What about Paul Schaefer?
Hey, if Schaefer falls asleep, fire him. Get him out of there. If Schaefer's going to play for us, David, then he's got to play hard. I mean, I've never seen a guy that plays more half-hearted than Schaefer does. You don't even listen to what we're talking about.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Hey, it isn't just Schaefer, but Hal Gurney.
Hal Gurney, our director.
Hal Gurney is in charge of the cues for the cameras.
Yeah.
And Gurney misses half of what goes on. I didn't know whether it was Gina Lola Brigida or Helma Schmaltz there sometimes last night.
Listen, Bobby, I think that did the trick. I think we're ready to play the kind of ball we know we can play here tonight.
Well, we've got to, because as I said, this is the sweeps period, and let's get things going. Hey, we just can't leave it all on David's shoulders.
There you
David,
go.
You're the captain. I'm counting on you to lead this thing through on the floor, too.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Bobby, listen, I know you're quite busy this week. Have a good game up in West Lafayette, and good luck in the tournament.
David, it's nice talking to you, and let me know about Schaefer tomorrow.
Okay, we will, Bobby. Our first guest tonight, I'm really eager to chat with this man. I've been a big fan of his for a long time, and we enjoyed watching him play this year, or watch his team play, and they won the NCAA championship. He has led his basketball team, the Indiana Hoosiers, to 3 college basketball championships. His colorful personality and style have made him certainly controversial beyond the basketball court. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome IU head coach Bobby Knight. Bobby, good to see you. How are you? Good. Thank you very much. Whew. You had a big year. You had a great year, didn't you?
We got it over with in good shape, just at the right time.
Yeah. Now, I'm watching the final game against Syracuse. It goes right down to what? The last 5 seconds? Keith Smart takes the shot. It goes in. You win by 1. I couldn't watch it. I had to keep leaving the room. Now, you sit through how many games a season? 35 or so?
That was the 34th.
34th. Now, doesn't that just drive you nuts after a while?
Well, I looked up at that shot going through the net with 5 seconds to go, and I felt a hell of a lot better than I did with 7 seconds to go.
Yeah. But, I mean, after a while, don't you think, oh, I just can't do this any longer? Because they seem, a lot of them go right down to the final few seconds.
Well, I think, but, you know, it's a great, coaching's a great thing because you're working for 4 months and then you're going to fish for 8. And so every time you get caught up in one of those things in the 4 months that you're working, you think, boy, this is going to lead to a lot of fishing if I can just get through this. And that's why I think it would be so tough coaching in the pros.
Yeah.
You know, 100 games, year-round schedule. They're playing the finals of the NBA playoffs the same night as the opening game of the World Series. I mean, it's a tough.
Yeah. What teams have contacted you about approaching in the NBA?
None for a long time. I mean, it goes all the way back to like the Chicago Zephyrs.
They made an offer for you, huh?
A slight one. I wasn't sure whether I was paying them to coach or they were paying me when the offer was done.
What do you think about the three-point play in college ball? I know you hated it when it first came into effect, but you won some ball games with it, didn't you?
Well, we actually won the championship game with it, or Steve Alford did. But
7 out of 10?
Yes, and Syracuse had hit 3, so we had a 4-point difference with it. But I really don't like it. It's like if you hit a home run 450 feet, you ought to get 2 runs for it. Or you throw a 40-yard touchdown pass, get 9 points. I don't really like anything that you come up and stop and shoot it, and just don't think it fits in what my concept of the game is. But I think so many people like it, and I really think the fans have liked it.
Yeah, it's here to stay then, you guess.
It'd really help a guy like you.
I played some basketball in high school, and believe it or not, I stunk.
Well, no, I think a lot of slow white guys got together and voted a rule in. Is what I think happened.
Now, when you go out, is this the beginning of your recruiting season, or does that come later?
We're done.
You're done recruiting?
We're really done. We've signed 3 kids, and we have an early signing period in November. And any kid that chooses to do so and has decided where he's going to go can sign in November, and that kind of eliminates everything that you've got to do now. So we're done. We're looking at juniors and underclassmen and talking to coaches, and that's about it.
Do you yourself go to the home of the kid you want to play ball at IU? Do you go into the living room? Do you sit down at the dining room table? Do you talk to mom and dad and grandma and grandpa?
Unless we can get him to come without doing it. and if we can eliminate that trip, I always eliminate it. But a lot of times you can't.
You have to sell the whole family on it, don't you?
Well, I really don't try and sell. I think that if you've got to sell a kid on coming or talk him into it, it's going to be hard to get him to do exactly what I want him to do.
Well, 3 national championship banners hanging there in the field house, Assembly Hall, probably be a lot of inducement, wouldn't it?
Well, I think so, and you know what basketball's like in Indiana. You're a native Hoosier, and people enjoy it and like it and follow it, and there's a lot of attention paid to it, and I think that certainly helps not just us, but the other schools there or in that part of the country.
You know, during the whole tournament, the guys at CBS made a big deal about you baiting referees. And they said, well, you got to give Bobby automatically 8 points going into any game because he controls the referees. Now, is there any truth to that?
See, most of those guys that come up with those ideas are coaches that weren't very good when they were coaching, so they've turned to broadcasting. I've always said that if we could take all those analysts and give them teams and then play those teams, you'd have a hell of a record every year. Instead of intimidating officials, I'll tell you what I really think you do. By getting on them, I think you antagonize them. I think
and then they come back to get you.
Well, I think you're doing the job as well as you think you can do it. Now, I may not think you're doing a particularly good job out there, but you do, and you feel that you're working as hard.
Well, they're part of the show, too.
Well,
they have egos. They're in front of 15,000 people.
And now when I get on you and you're saying to yourself, hey, I'm doing the best I can, and this guy's... I really think the word is antagonize rather than intimidate. And I don't think that these people that broadcast understand that. I don't think they have a good feel for what really transpires between coaches and officials.
It makes a good story and something fun to talk about. But now when you're talking, if you go out, like in the LSU game, you went out onto the floor and you wanted to get the attention of one of the officials, what did you say to the guy?
I wanted to ask a question. There had been a play at the other end of the floor from our bench where an official had made a sign indicating a 3-second violation, then followed that up with something that I thought looked like a charge. And I thought there had been a foul committed. I didn't know which way. And right after that, immediately, there's a timeout, dead ball, TV timeout. And I turned to our coaches and I said, what was the call? And nobody really knew. Well, really, I should have gone to the scorer's table. But there's an official about from me to the camera, and I hollered at him, and it's loud. And all I want to do is find out what the call was. And in our league, we almost without exception can say something to an official, and if you approach him in the right way, he may say, wait a minute, I'll come over and see what you want. But I stepped out on the floor, and he still couldn't hear me. He's got his back turned to the play, and I went out on the court, and all I got out was, what was the, and he,
boom,
bang, technical. And I honestly think that I startled the guy. I don't think he expected me to be there. And once I startled him, he startled the hell out of me. I want to tell you that. And so then I got upset, not just at his having called the technical, but the technical being called and getting into a situation where I wasn't complaining.
And then all of a sudden the people are saying, well, it's Bobby working the referees again.
Exactly. But I got away from it and went over to the scorer's table and was really upset, but tried to get away from the officials with the thing.
We got to do a commercial. We'll be right back. Let me ask you one quick question. You have more than one red sweater, right?
No, this is it. I mean, it's.
Bobby Knight is here, obviously, and Chris Christopherson will be here a little bit later. Tell me about if there is any difference between the guys playing for you now and what your players were like when you were playing. What the players were like then. You played for Ohio State what year?
60 and 61 and 62, and we had some great players on that team. Havlicek and Siegfried, Lucas.
Were those the years that Dischinger played at Purdue?
Yes, exact same years. I think there are a lot more really good players now. I think that players aren't any better than Lucas may be the best player that ever played in the Big Ten. I think Havlicek was obviously a great player and a great pro. But I think there are so many more now than there were at that time. Everybody has got pretty good players.
How does that happen? Why suddenly are there a lot more quality ball players?
I think it's like almost anything else. You know, why are there so many more entertainers? I think kids have so many more opportunities when they're growing up to learn to do things today, I think.
Oh, you mean there are other entertainers?
Well, you know, not in other fields, in other areas.
Now, what about drug testing?
Well, I did an interesting thing with our students one day. I was talking to them one night last fall, about 3,500 of our kids, and one of the students said, Coach, how do you feel about drug testing athletes? And I said, if they make me president for a day, I'm going to drug test all of you. And I got pretty good response from that. And I think it's good. The thing that I like to see about it is that there are two things, really. Number one, I think there will be one heck of a lot of kids, college athletes, that are not going to show positive, the 99.9%, which I think is good for kids that follow college athletics. Then, in that 0.1% or 1%, whatever it is, there are some kids there that have to be helped. And I think through drug testing, you can find some kids that have to be helped. But I want to tell you one thing about drug testing. Tough game. Now imagine you in this situation. Tough game. I'm on you for 40 minutes. Tight game.
You're
Time
really
out.
on me.
And
You'd
I'm really on
me,
you.
yeah.
I'm really on you for 40 minutes. And after the game's over, you're dehydrated.
Right.
You're mentally drained because of what I'm telling you.
Right. Plus, I didn't feel that good starting the
To
game.
begin with. To begin
Had a
with.
touch of the flu.
And now you got to pee in a bottle. That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be harder than stopping Jones from scoring in the ball game.
That's when the pressure is on.
Well, we've had some kids that looked at that saying that the bottle was a lot tougher than I was during the ball game.
Yeah.
And I think the timing of the whole thing with NCAA competition has to be changed a little bit.
Yeah. So make it a little later after the game?
I think the next morning.
Let me bring up something here, and I know you're probably sick to death of this, and it may be the kind of thing that will follow you the rest of your life. The deal with the chair. You flipped a chair onto the floor, the Purdue game. You must be tired of hearing that.
Well, but, you know, I've not really discussed exactly everything that went on behind it, but
There was a story behind the chair throwing.
people jump at conclusions
Sure.
automatically with the thing, and the game is kind of going on, and I hear somebody across the floor keep hollering, "Coach! Coach! Coach Knight!" And I try not. I get all kinds of suggestions. I try not to pay any attention to it, and finally I get up, and I'm up and down a lot, and one time I'm standing up, and I look across the floor, and Coach Knight! And here's a little old lady across the floor that reminded me of my grandmother.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I thought so, and I thought particularly to take time out during the course of a tough game. And I said, "Did you want me for something?" And she just said, "If you're not going to sit down any more today than you have so far, could I have your chair?"
So, just flipped it on over. I didn't realize it. There it is. Whoa! So, obviously, now that we know the full story, you were doing the gentlemanly thing.
Well, really what happened was it was the first game that I'd coached in Indiana without a jacket.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
And
Threw you off a little.
Well, I reached for the jacket, and I would have sailed the jacket. And our team doctor, Brad Bomba, was a great football player in Indiana. He was an All-American, and he told me later, he said, "As soon as I saw you turn around and reach for your jacket, you didn't have it on, I tried to grab everything you could throw." He said, "I grabbed the trainer, he said, the only thing I missed was the chair." He said, "You beat me to the chair."
Do you have any furniture at all left in your house, Bobby, or has it all just been...
No, what we have is a lot of bamboo furniture. It's easily replaced. And
Yeah. I told you before, I had a great time watching your team play this year. Have another great year, and congratulations,
David,
Bobby.
thank
Nice
you
to
very
meet
much. I enjoyed it.
Bobby Knight, folks. We'll be back. Station Night.